Welcome to my channel. I have a huge collection of coloring books which I have collected during last 6, maybe 7 years, and among them I have books which I treasure but which I never or almost never color. Approximately once in a year I took them from the shelf, I look at them, then deep sigh, and I put them back because I realize that I am still not ready yet. But maybe today at least one of these books will have a chance to be colored finally, to be colored more actively. So what I currently have in this unfortunate stash of uncolored books, let's start from this book. Mostly my problem with these books, it's selection of art supplies. I don't know what to use to be able to achieve good result and not to spend years for the one page. Well, about this book, honestly, I simply totally forgot that I own it. I purchased it in the beginning of my coloring journey. Maybe it was even from book depository. You remember, if you are old colorist, those happy times when we had book depository. So it's a book by Martin Noble, artist whom I absolutely love, and it was published in 219, where I would say quality of Creative Heaven paper was a little bit better comparing to what we have now. This paper is nice, bright white, and well, it feels even relatively thick, well, for Creative Heaven paper. And still I hadn't colored in it. First, I was intimidated by amount of details. I think that I purchased it even before I got polychromos or Prismacolors, so I didn't know how to color such pictures. And here we have portraits, which I still not very confident to color. Only in the books where we have grayscale underpaint like Christine Karen and which are printed on good book, I feel a little bit more confident. But okay, I gathered some skills like coloring on bad paper in Colorless Kingdom, and there I managed to do faces, so maybe it's not the big problem. Then my second problem was what to select as a media for this one. I don't think that I can use watercolor here for the background. I also don't like to use alcohol markers for such works. Even with quality markers, and I consider Ohuhu quality markers, I'm afraid that after a couple of years they will change color. So in books like Russell Hampson, where I mostly used markers for the background, I don't think that it will be a catastrophe. For the whole page, I still don't like to use markers, only for the background. But to do the whole background with pencils, well, that's boring and time-consuming. But now, when I look at this page, at this book, I remember why I purchased it, because it has amazingly beautiful designs. Just look at this one. Everything I love, all those beautiful flowers, animals, all compositions by Martin Noble, they always are great. Actually, it reminds me about my college art book, which I also loved. It also was one of my first books. So honestly, about this one, I simply forgot. For many years it was standing on the shelf with other Creative Heaven books, and usually when I go for Creative Heaven, it's a book by Teresa Goodrich, which I start to color. So about this one I will think, and I need to find a page where there won't be a big empty background like this one. And the only small element which I dislike is such ornamental butterflies or other patterns which I don't like to color. But this one, which has a relatively small face, lovely flowers, and it doesn't have empty background, maybe I can color it. So I will try to put it somewhere near my working area, Now, at least I don't feel intimidated by this book. Next, I have this beauty. I'm very happy to have it because I can enjoy it just like art book. It's art which is absolutely unfamiliar for me because of the style, because of the stories and legends which were illustrated in this book. And it's so beautiful in black and white that I'm still intimidated to start coloring in it. And also it has quite unique paper. I don't think that I have such paper in any other of my books. So it's very thick but feels soft. I'm not sure again what I can use here. So maybe for this book I need to do a paper test. Does it accept watercolor? Because I don't think that I want to use gouache. It could be either watercolor or maybe Derwent Inktense to be able to do the background. And then pencils. I'm afraid that with such textured and soft thick paper, creamy pencils like Prismacolors, they will just crumble and I won't be able to draw accurate small details. And this book is full of small details. Look at all these beautiful pieces of jewelry, tiny elements of the flowers. So maybe my first try will be polychromos pencils. And I recently discovered that Japanese pencils like Irojitens, which are usually very demanding to paper quality and don't behave well on smooth paper, maybe they can help me in this book. So I think that for this one I need to do a paper test. I already have a couple of pictures in mind which I can color, maybe like this one. It's very simple and it gives me some hints of the background, or maybe something with flowers, because flowers and botanical elements on these pages, they are absolutely amazing. So for this one, my main concern is what kind of art supplies I can use. So I did a quick test for the paper with watercolors and with polychromos pencils, and I am extremely happy. It was a big pleasure to work with watercolors, and what is even more precious for me is that on this paper I can finally use my fancy watercolors which have granulating abilities. And you know that granulation usually you can get only with big amount of water and on relatively thick, and it's even better if your paper is textured, so on thick and textured paper. So this paper is absolutely great. I am very happy how paints behaved in this area. With just one paint I managed to get this very nice background, and also it was possible to blend colors. There are no dots, you know, those ugly dots where paper doesn't like watercolors. Here everything behaved very well, and polychromos pencils, I think that they are the best choice for this very delicate, very intricate line art. So definitely I will try to do something here with watercolors because I have them. I don't have a lot of books with good paper, and this one is sitting on the shelf without any active work. So maybe it's finally its time. If you ask me which page I would select as my first project, I will show you this one. I don't know why, maybe because it reminds me about my trip to Sri Lanka many years ago, where I visited a lot of temples with huge statue of Buddha. So maybe I can find some of my old photos, old pictures, and to use those colorful pictures as an inspiration. So I guess that this one has a nice balance between amount of interesting details, no empty background as usual, and I think that it will be totally possible to use watercolor as a base and then to work on details using pencils. And of course I will try to find something for my granulating watercolors. I currently have Schminke granulating watercolors and watercolors by Roman Schmal. I will check their color palettes. I especially love Volcano series from Schminke, and I think that here I will manage to find something dramatic for such dramatic granulating watercolors. So that was a very good test. I am very satisfied. Let's discuss next book. I think that I have some inner block regarding this one. It's extremely beautiful. Alphonse Mucha is one of my favorite artists. This book is printed on great paper and still I can't color in it. I even found my own book about art of Alphonse Mucha. Here I have plenty of colorful illustrations which I can use as a full color inspiration. Of course I can Google them, but I prefer paper books. So I'm almost ready. But problem is that when they transformed the full color paintings into line art, they did a very thorough work, and now all the designs, they have plenty of tiny details, exactly like on Alphonse Mucha paintings, but well, I have no idea what to use for coloring them. When I first got this book, I had an idea to use these Mondeluz pencils from Czech Republic for paintings of Czech Republic painter. Perfect. I wanted to use this watercolor set. Good thing is that I tried to do a portrait with these pencils. They are water soluble. I realized that I have absolutely no skills, no knowledge how to do portrait. I struggle with regular pencils, and with watercolor everything looked absolutely flat. I wasn't able to do normal shadows without creating dirt. So this initial plan failed spectacularly, and after that I hadn't touched this book at all. Okay, now I think that I am more confident to do the main image using regular pencils. Okay, Prismacolors or polychromos is not a problem. But then starts the question of these tiny details. Of course, they are part of Alphonse Mucha magic, so I want to pay attention to them. Plenty of designs, they have some kind of mosaic background. And what I can use, if I even use polychromos, I'm afraid that it still will be a mess. I'm not sure that I will be able to color all of them. And I don't want to use fine liners. I have probably one set of fine liners, but I think that their colors are so unnatural that they make coloring a little bit cheap. Definitely not on the level of the Alphonse Mucha paintings. So that's my problem. And the only solution I can find for myself, there are a couple of pictures, just a couple of them, where we have relatively big elements. You can see that that's my bookmark. And maybe finally I will try to do something with bigger elements, because every time I open this book I have my doubts. I feel intimidated, especially with those pictures which I prefer the most. It's one of my favorites. I even have a shopper bag with such design. But if you have any idea how I can color such background without using gel pens, without using fine liners, or maybe I need to get some fine liners with normal colors, because all I have, they have so strange vibrant colors that I simply feel that they are more suitable for children's art. Well, beautiful book, but I have no idea what I can use to do the tiny details and to do the big background. Well, so this book feels quite unfortunate, but I hope that one day I will resolve this problem and one day I will do at least one of Alphonse Mucha designs. Good thing is that I can simply admire them as they are. Next. Because I am collecting books for many years, I have several of these very old Pictura books. I think that they are totally unavailable now, totally out of print. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it was a series of books which were created in this Leporello style. They have this one line of designs, and you can see it as one-page design, but actually they are connected and they tell you a story. I have I think maybe 3 books, and they are printed on very good paper. It's vibrant white, quite thick cardstock. It's one-sided, it doesn't matter, but still. On the other side you have some tips, some explanations, so very lovely books. It's extremely sad things that they don't reprint them, they stopped published books at all, because it was very interesting selection of artists. I admire all my purchased Pictura books. But what is my problem? When I first got them, I realized that my skills, they are totally not up to the level of the art. I started to do one book, I tried to do watercolor background and then pencils. I realized that my level of watercoloring, it was so terrible that I was simply afraid to mess up the whole book, so I stopped. Now, after 5 years, I feel more confident. Now my work is better, I have better range of art supplies. I think that finally I can find a balance between how much of watercolor I can do and then how I can add contrast, shading, details with pencils, so that's not a problem. Now my problem is, well, how actually to break it into small projects. You know that I prefer to switch between books, and I also film my coloring works, so I don't know how to start. If I do the first page, I will have a horse without head. It seems stupid, because, and another thing, apart from having a stupid page without part of the design, I'm afraid that if this month I color this page, okay, watercolor plus pencils, it's okay. Next, I do a break for a month, maybe or two, I do another part. I'm afraid that this thing, if I do long breaks between projects, it simply will be like weathered, that I won't be able to do a smooth transformation from this side into this side. It feels like you need to dedicate to the whole book couple of months and to color only in this one. Yes, I know that this explanation, it sounds stupid, but that's what stopped me from starting to doing this beautiful art. I think that it's the most beautiful in the whole collection, this Night Journey by Annie von Gilbert. I absolutely love this artist, and you can imagine that I don't want to mess it up. So how to make smaller projects from this huge book? I have no idea. Maybe I will try to color like first page, then despite problem of cut head of the horse, next I will do only these 2 pages. I feel that it's time to do something in this book because it has everything I love. All these designs, that's 100-200% my style of pictures. I love to color. You know that I love to color beautiful dresses, ladies, all this armor, beautiful background, botanical elements, and paper is great. I recently colored several pictures on thin paper, and yes, I started to appreciate once again when paper is decent. You are not limited in art supplies. So why my books on great paper are sitting on the shelf, I don't know. So maybe I will forget about my concerns how to switch from one page into another, and I will try to do something here. Maybe fun thing is to start actually from the end here. I already thought that this one looks like an almost finished project, so maybe if I start, I will start from this one, and it's also quite convenient to put flatly on the table and film. The next book intimidates me with its size. I already know that this paper accepts watercolor, but still with watercolor I can do only the first layer, and then I still need to work with pencils. And well, that's really, it's a little bit intimidating, really. I know that it's not very difficult book to color if you select not the biggest portraits. You can use films as a color inspiration because all of them were transformed from screenshots. Another thing which slightly bothers me is those thick lines, but I think that with watercolors it will soften a little bit this impression. So here the only problem is the size. I already selected a couple of pictures where size won't be a big problem and where I don't need to color portraits. I really, of course, very concerned about portraits. I want them to be beautiful, realistic, but well, not with my skills yet. But I have plenty of other pictures like this beauty. Definitely this one could be colored with watercolor. Or another selection, maybe to select characters where you can't completely mess up. I think that this one could be a very good start. So I need to just maybe to find the right day, maybe to make myself kind of day of marathon, first watching movies and then coloring something, because in my opinion it's one of the best books on the market for Harry Potter. It has very nice paper, it has good selection of pictures from the whole story. You have portraits, you have landscapes, so definitely it's no excuse for me to not coloring in it. And next, 2 unhappy books abandoned on my shelf. It's Game of Thrones official book for the House of Dragon and my Game of Thrones official HBO book. This one I have for so many years. It was one of the first books which I purchased again from Book Depository, so it's more than 6 years already. And what can I say? I did just one page here and then I stopped. I know why, because at the moment when I purchased it, everything was against it. I had limited amount of art supplies. I just started to collect my polychromos pencils, and the only page which I did, it was a mix of budget pencils, I don't remember, probably some Prismacolors, and it wasn't easy to find the right kind of pencils because paper is quite thick but very smooth without any texture. So now when I have normal set of polychromos, I can finally do something here, and I think that it will be better comparing to Prismacolors which are gliding over this very smooth paper. Then of course I stopped to color because it has many portraits and line art is good, so it's possible to do beautiful portraits if you have skills. And I didn't want to mess up. I wanted to make them as beautiful as artists in the movie, but I was simply afraid. And also it has an arrangement of landscapes. Some of them are quite interesting. For example, I wouldn't mind to do this one. Usually I am not a huge fan of coloring such frames, so it's another stop for me, because when I imagine how boring it could be, I even ready to do only the central page and then to abandon it. I'm definitely not a person who enjoy relaxing work to do such repeated background. In the end, I know myself, I just will be very frustrated and I will hate it. Still, there are some better frames, not so overwhelmingly boring, but with nice central part. And that's actually was one of the designs which I would love to start. But here, shame on me, I even hadn't tested watercolors on this paper. Without watercolor, I don't think that it's possible to color such books. I wish that next time they would do a lesser amount of lines, because, well, it's difficult to color such messy line art and to transform it into something recognizable. And I absolutely hate how they did sky on almost all pictures. I think that it's a crime to turn sky into such line art with such heavy black lines. Okay, we have other pictures. I think that even if I do at least one or two other pages here, I won't feel so guilty, because I really feel guilty. It's a lovely book. And yes, after 6 years, it definitely deserves to have second chance. So maybe I will test watercolor. I will find something between boring landscape and intimidating portrait. Well, this one is also, I think, quite awful. But what I always wanted to color, it's this one. I think that I will try to start from this one. Well, background, I think that I can survive doing this frame somehow. Quite easy to do watercolor background if only this paper allows me to use watercolor. Okay, now I mastered. I think that I will be able to do it. And fortunately here we have such portraits that I don't think that I will mess it up. So I will put a bookmark here, and maybe one day I will find the courage to return to this book, because, well, it's complicated. It's lovely, but when you analyze each and every of pictures, you think, oh, it's so many problems to resolve, these strange clouds, these boring frames, that you simply select something more relaxed. Yes, it's a path of the coward, but, well, I am honest, and I am honestly talking about what is stopping me from coloring in this one. And this, it's just a shame on me. I hadn't tested paper. Yes, I tested watercolor, but I wasn't sure how quickly I need to work here. And when I just received it, I was in love, because I realized that it's Tomislav Tomic, book, but I hadn't watched the full seasons yet, so I wanted first to dive again into the atmosphere after the Game of Thrones ending. I was so disappointed that for some time I didn't want to rewatch it, so I was reluctant to start watching the new series. Maybe now it's time. And again, it's very complicated question where to start. I would prefer to start something like this one. Actually, this first page is lovely. As usual, Tomislav Tomic makes very nice color compositions, very good balance between background with lovely details. You can even color it with pencils, but I would prefer to use watercolors together. So I thought about coloring it in order, but then like watching series, and then if you find something connected to the book, you can color in it. But then I realized that no, it never works for me, so I just need to find interesting but not the best page for me. And yeah, I think that also maybe I need to search through web and to look at finished pictures. Usually I don't like to do such work, because if I already saw beautiful pictures with my eyes, it's like I colored my book already with my eyes, and I find difficulty to start it myself. But with this one, maybe I really need an inspiration. Maybe I need to find some videos, because now when I look at it, I really think that it's a pity that I hadn't started it yet. I remember those old times when I colored in another edition of Game of Thrones, a smaller book with better designs, in Ukrainian edition, where I was able to use watercolors. I even don't mind if I would have the second copy on it. Unfortunately, it's not available now, but in that book I can clearly see my progress, my first steps of using watercolors, so that old book is very dear for me, even if it's still unfinished. And maybe now it's finally time to pay attention to this beauty. So just need some inspiration. And the final book, it's another gemstone, very rare now. It was rare when I received this beauty as a gift, so I never expected to receive such a beautiful page, and now it's even more rare. What about this one? It's paper again. You can see that paper here, I would say that it's also quite unique, and I don't have similar paper in any other books. It's not very thick, and it has a very distinctive yellow undertone. I was so intimidated by line art when I received it that I even didn't test paper. I thought that I can do it only with pencils. Now, of course, I am curious about watercolors. It will make my work quicker, and I think that work which I can do with mixed media, they always look more interesting, like my mythographic pictures, so I would love to use watercolors. I think that I again will do a quick test. Good thing is that it's one-sided. What is also slightly difficult for me, it's many of these designs, it has this traditional national accents, elements, and I'm not familiar with this culture. Shame on me. So I wouldn't want to color it not according to the colors which are more traditional to the national costumes, for example, or the flowers which are traditional. So I think that I need to do some study. But first, let me test paper, and then I already put paper to the page where I'm at least not very intimidated. I think that if I start, I will do this one. The name is Culture. Actually, why I also love this book, because all pictures, they have names, and that's where you can start to have some ideas about the illustrations. So let's do a quick work of testing paper, and then I think that after Google, where I was very happy with paper and which now I put on top of my pile of books, maybe this one also has very high chances. About all other books in this video, I'm not sure yet. I looked at them, but I'm not ready yet to start them immediately. This one I would really want to start. Let's just quickly test paper. Unfortunately, there is no test page in the book, so I decided to do the first page. And I wanted to test my granulating Schminke watercolors. For the background, I would love to use this Nebel Rosa. It has nice granulation, but only on the textured paper. Let's check how this paper accepts water and what we can get. Oh no, it's so strange feeling. Like it's... Well, maybe wet on wet, it's not the best idea, guys. At least it feels terrifying. I know that I won't ruin it because behind we don't have anything very precious, but feeling is very strange because of the it accepts pigment extremely quickly. Definitely absolutely different from that Googly book. I guess that it means no to granulating watercolor paints. It definitely won't show me any granulating effects at all, and I am not sure that I will be able to make it flat. And oh well, it simply looks awful because when I make it wet, this yellow color, it prevents from analyzing how nice is your color. Well, no, totally no. Well, what can we test here? Maybe to try regular watercolor. I thought about using granulating gray on the face, but now, well, I don't think that it's a good idea. Actually, it's interesting. What about more opaque paints, like this one? It's Japanese Kuretake. They are very different from our watercolors, and for me they are even close to gouache. And I think that that's actually what can work here. Minimal amount of water and more opaque paint. Bad thing is that I have only couple of colors and I don't think that any of them will be very helpful for big pictures. I just have, that's all my colors. Well, but they feel nice. Maybe I need to do more wide study of all my watercolors, and maybe there are other brands which I can use here. Well, that's a catastrophe. That's not bad. And yeah, it still leaves me with a lot of questions because, well, there are very detailed pictures where I can color with pencils, but with many designs like that one which I wanted to show you, I definitely need a watercolor for the background. Well, I think that either I need to purchase colors according to my next project, or maybe to try to adjust my idea to the available colors. Maybe like this one. I thought about very warm sandy beige here, and it will create very good contrast to the pink lotus flowers. But I don't have such color. Well, I will check what we have in our art store, so maybe it's a good excuse to purchase some more Kuretake watercolors, because honestly I don't use them frequently. My most frequently used colors here is these three, and yeah, maybe beige colors or more vibrant blue can be actually helpful. So, mixed feelings about my test. I will check for how long it will dry, because of course I want to put pencils on top of it, but the first test was really disappointing. Imagine how nice would be to use such interesting colors with such granulation if paper allows you, but sadly, no. Okay, so I will try to do something just with pencils. Well, I'm glad that at least in a couple of books now I have more clear idea, and maybe indeed I will do my first start in them, so I invite you maybe to check my channel in a week or two if I finally do something in these poor books, or they will have to wait maybe for another year until my next check of abandoned books. Well, thank you for spending time with me. If you have any advice about what art supplies are best for the books which I demonstrated in this video, I will be happy to read your comments.